So here we are. Hello, dear podcasters. We are back with our Smiley podcast. And today we have here one really special woman. She has been actually performing on many of our Masters of Email Marketing events because she's just such a great talker. Every time I listen to her, I feel so inspired. And that's why I am so delighted to have you here. And my guest's name today is Yanna-Torry Asparaki. Yanna is actually the owner of two companies. One is Email Consul and the other is a Special Mail. And in both companies, she is actually also doing deliverability specialist job, which is why she is always performing about deliverability, because she just knows everything about it. And today as well, we are going to talk a lot about deliverability. But first, Yanna, I would gladly give a word to you so you can introduce yourself and say why do you love email so much?
So my love for email is that it keeps me on my toes. I can talk about the same thing over and over again, different ways based on the company, the client, the problem. So I find that very interesting. And the other thing as well is that it's a combination of more than just like technological things. It's understanding the laws, understanding the marketing aspect, understanding the return on investment, and ensuring that everything works together so that the emails that you're sending out land in the inbox and bring you the money or whatever you want from them. So my mission is to simplify and democratize deliverability. I feel that there's a lot of people who misunderstand or have access to the wrong information about it. So they're making wrong decisions and it just makes it confusing because things get worse and worse. So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, that's good, because I think I also have heard some stories or some humor, not humorous, but those like people talk about some things that they actually don't know what it's about, but they just talk some stories. So I also would like to hear a lot about this today. But if we would start now, and probably we have some listeners who even don't know what is deliverability. So how would you describe the word deliverability, what it is and what it consists of, and why is it important?
Okay, so deliverability is an aspect that is often overlooked about email because we're all used to sending an email to our friends or people we know. The person gets the email, replies back, and it's not very complicated. Things change when it comes to mass email marketing or using and sending emails outside of your regular inbox. And even from the regular inbox, things happen, just it happens less, so people notice it less. They just think it might be a mistake or, something that happened once, whatever, didn't work, send it again. When it comes to email marketing, all the businesses, mine, yours, all of ours, we market like a very sexy email marketing tool. We have templates, we have an online editor, we have contact lists and segmentation and blah, 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 blah. We don't tell people, hey, if you want to use your tool, you have to buy a domain, you have to authenticate, you have to clean your list every 3 months, you have to monitor your reputation. Hey, Google Postmaster exists, SNDS exists. Because then people will be like, you know what? I'm just going to post some pictures on Instagram and like maybe get clients. It just sounds very complex. Now, of course, you guys are taking care of it, constant contact, whatever. We're doing a lot of the heavy lifting so that it is worth it. But when it comes to deliverability, it might not necessarily mean you have to do things on a regular basis, but it means that you need to know about things. And no one ever cares to know more about what they need to know. They make a pretty template, they have a list, they press send, the end. So deliverability at the end of the day is very simple. Smaily and all these companies take care of sending the email to Google, Microsoft, and the subscribers. Deliverability is what happens after that. So Google says, yes, I receive 1,000 emails that I need to give to 1,000 people, but only 200 people will get it in the inbox. 200 people will get it in spam, and everyone else is not getting it. That is the deliverability part. And what we want is deliverability to always be above 95% and over. There's a percentage we can't really control, but what we want is 95, 100%, because what Google does with the email it receives is what's the most important. And what we want is that it goes in the inbox. So that's the deliverability part.
Okay, so you mentioned that many email marketers actually just expect that the email sending part is just putting together the template and doing nothing with it. So how long have you been in the email industry? Have you had any other experiences besides deliverability as well?
So I have an interesting career path, but I started in email in 2014, 2015. I was working at a Canadian ESP. It's the best company ever. It's called CakeMail. I miss everybody there. They were great people to work with. And I just so happened to sit behind me was the head of deliverability at the company. And the way that it really got my interest, just because I was even me, I was like, emails, people have questions, mainly, reset passwords or like simple things, right? That you have for an online tool. But as an email marketing company, as a SaaS product, they have roadmaps, things, features they're going to build, when they're going to build it by, why we're building it, what kind of customers we want to attract from these features we're building. And then one day GDPR comes in and he gets up in a meeting on, a weekly meeting. He says, hey, GDPR, bam, 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 this needs to change. The company said, okay. And I remember just like, wait, whoa, customers are complaining because there's a bug or whatever, and it should be fixed. And you have all this plan is the reason we cannot fix it. And now this guy says we're doing something completely different. And the company says yes. So they got my attention why what he said was so important. So that's what got my attention. And then I started realizing, okay, it's more than just the laws, it's the spam filters. And then that was it. Then I fell in love with it and I've been doing it ever since.
Okay, that's really interesting. Why I was asking this was that because, as far as I know, at least in Estonia, this is a kind of a small country. We don't have maybe many email specialists, and yet I think we don't have any deliverability specialists, like zero.
Yeah.
And I think that most of email marketing specialists in Estonia, they don't even know much about deliverability. They don't even understand why is it so important and why should everybody know something about it. So my question actually is that do you think that every email marketing specialist should know at least something about deliverability?
So I think the job relies on company like yours and mine, where through the tool we force or help people make the right decisions and make them understand why. So when it comes to deliverability, usually I'm the bearer of bad news. So people don't come to me because they don't want to have problems. They come to me because there is a problem. So I'm coming and you have to do this. They don't want to do it. Blah, blah, blah. I've never have to do it. 10 years, 15 years, my business. And you tell me I have to do it? Well, yes, you came to me to fix a problem and I tell you what you need to do to fix the problem. So I think the tools, we need to help customers understand better why, not just force them to do things. But yes, the problem is that access to that kind of information is very difficult. Like you said, there's not a lot of people that do it. And mainly the people who do it are working at Smaley, at MailChimp, so they have a job, they take care of thousands of customers, but through one way, so they can control traffic, close clients that are bad, fix things, optimal ways of sending, relationships with Spamhaus and the Google and Microsoft, which is great, but we're not marketing it. And also some things are secret. If we told people how it works, then it wouldn't work. It's not security if people knows the password, right? So it's a little bit a mix of both. That's why we always talk about best practices. Send to people send the amount of times people are expecting, respect the people. If they give you their email, it doesn't mean you can send them 2 times a day. Come on. And remove some people off your list at some point. Understand that email statistics are not precise. Spam complaints are not precise. Bounces are not precise. Not because they're not precise in themselves, but there's certain types of things like emails not landing in the inbox. That means the email didn't go anywhere. Or opens and clicks being really good or really bad, or big and small based on how good or bad your reputation is. There's so many things that people need to understand just a little bit, and they'll make better decisions. If they make better decisions, then they don't really have to worry about me and deliverability. So we always talk about best practices. So that's, I think, what people need to know about authentication, the basic things. Because at the end of the day, it's a machine. It's a spam filter. And the spam filter, the only thing it can see is, did you do the best practices that, a human decided was good? And are people complaining? If people are not complaining and you're following the rules, in the inbox you go. They don't have the time to see, if the pharmacy is a spammer or just a little bit annoying. If he's a little bit annoying, he's a little bit annoying. Deliverability is a little bit more complex than just, emojis and spam words, right?
Hmm.
But best practices, that's the thing people need to know about.
Okay, we will talk about best practices in a bit because I also want to know what are the most important ones about them. But
Yes.
first, tell me, why do clients turn to you? Like, what are the problems that usually clients have when they have to turn to you?
Hmm.
How do I know that I have a deliverability problem?
So when it's like the end of the world, usually the amount of money coming in or whatever the result was, people coming to a webinar, whatever, goes very down. So that means the email part is hurting because there's so much Google Ads gets, and you can tell what traffic is coming from there. So the rest is gone. The medium amount is people start to see the decline, or they see like the statistics or the return on investment money or whatever it is be inconsistent. Sometimes it's very good, sometimes it's very bad, and we tend to blame marketing. The subject line wasn't good. We didn't get enough open rates, and it's like no, the previous one was a problem. So the one we sent after, the spam filters really looked at it. So the open rates were big and the click rates were big, but they're fake. So then you thought that was a good idea and that was good marketing. So you did it again and it wasn't what people wanted. So now the engagement is low on top of the fact that the first one was bad. So people start, it's just, we cannot rely on the data just as is. So people need to monitor the reputation. They need to know if things are good, they can rely on the metrics more. If things are not good, they can rely on the metrics less. But all of the things, all of the problems that these people have, if it's not like authentication or like a setup problem, the problems always come from the list. 99.9% of the time, cleaning the list is enough. And I don't mean cleaning, somebody opened an email last year. I mean, they didn't open an email in a year. They haven't bought anything. They haven't engaged with you. Send them a re engagement flow. Try to get them back. They don't get them back. Send them a sunset flow with the sexiest offer, the most interesting data. Remind them why they signed up, why you're the most amazing company. And if not, let them go. There's technological things that also people don't understand. For example, Google doesn't report spam complainers. So if you send me an email and I use Google for my business and for personal, and I report your brand as a spam, you don't get that information. So you will never remove that contact from your list
But
unless
it's
in
still
the
unsubscribed,
unsubscribe.
right?
Yeah, so in the unsubscribe, yeah, so you get the unsubscribe, but Google doesn't report feedback loops. So if somebody unsubscribes and selects the reason is spam, okay, you'll get a status, but it's not from Google, it's from the unsubscribe page. People think my spam rates are low. They're not low. It's just that Google's 90% of your list and 1% from your full list is only based on 10% of it, whatever is like Microsoft, Yahoo, and all these other companies. So you have to remove people because people complain. Always people complain. There's no one who doesn't have spam complaints. People complain on invoices. You know what I mean? Like the report of spam doesn't stop because it's a legal business interaction. People can click it anyways. But all of it together, plus all the other problems you have, is always the main thing. The spam filters can easily tell something is a problem if people are complaining. A human is saying to a machine, we don't like this. So, number one, that's the worst thing. And the second thing is you slowly sending more and more and more and more because your list is growing slowly. But the amount of people who care are always the people who signed up in the last month. So every month you grow by 1,000, 2,000, and only 1,000 or 2,000 care. So one day you're sending to 100,000 people, only 2,000 care. That doesn't look good. You need to remove people off the list or segment or be targeted. If you don't have the resources, remove people. Create more automation flows so that people can go through something that's very nice and like high targeted that you really work hard on, because you can't work hard on emails every week. That's fine. We don't have all the resources, but find a way. It's either remove people faster, put them through an automation that's very good, or send them better targeted content. But the list is always the problem. It's the easiest thing that makes people go from like a 30-40% inboxing to 80, 90. And then they have the things that they have to fix that take a long time. But it's just a little bit. At least most of the people are getting the emails.
Hmm. But why do you think what's the reason why people are so against of removing people from the list? Because from Smiley side, I can also see that they just I think I don't know why, but they see that I have such a good list, and I would have to give up 1/3 of them. Like why?
Well, usually, so one of the things that maybe will make people feel better is that if you're continuously cleaning your list, like in an automated manner, if somebody bought a mattress, don't send an email. don't allow a newsletter to be sent out. Set the automation, like buy a pillow, buy, things that are related. So that way it removes people. Because they've never done anything at all, the amount they have to remove today is a lot. But if they had done it in a logical manner, they don't really lose that many people. It's just the first time. So then it's like, who's bought a mattress in the last, year? 60,000 people on your, well, why are you selling them another mattress? I mean, maybe they need but the chances are very low. It should be not the main point of the email. They should not get the newsletters. They should get an automation, like how to take care of it, insurance, warranty, how to return it. Like, they should not disappear. They should just, different, or car dealership. That's an exaggerated example because that's very obvious. You need to remove people. But in our businesses as well, we just don't want, somebody went to do their nails and it's like, well, 2 weeks later, she might want it again. Okay, but there's certain types of customers, the people who go once a month or 2 times a month, and the people that go because, I don't know, they felt like it that day. Maybe it's not the same content should not be sent. One should get promotions or try to get them back in terms of, I don't know, come 9 times, get the 10 free. And the other one should be more about scheduling appointments and VIP status because they come so often, right? That's going to work well. It's going to be better engaged. And you know who else you just remove because they were on vacation, they did their nails and they left, right? But long term, we don't think about it because then you don't remember who came and did what. So now we need to clean a big portion. But if we think about it long term, and now you know the rules, send emails that people want, engaged, strategic. We know what we want. We know what we want in their inbox. We know what customers want. If we can automate some part of that, one, less work over the years, except, double checking, maybe tweaking, less emails to send out, so it costs less, and we send the correct emails to the right people that give us the money or whatever we want, and the deliverability is fixed. I mean, the best email marketing tool, that's what my business partner says, the best email marketing tool is the email marketing tool a person doesn't have to go into all the time, because a lot of the things are taken care of and correctly. But it's true that it takes a little bit of a setup and you need to think about it in advance instead of just, ooh, what do I send today? It's a little bit more than that, but it fixes the list problem. It fixes the engagement problem. It fixes the spam complaint problem. It keeps people happy. So on the business side, it's good. And you don't have to think about me and everything I talk about because everything is correctly done,
Exactly. I wanted to add that if you do everything correctly from the beginning, then you don't have people don't have to run to you and say, "Hey, Yanna, please help me
Yeah,
out."
exactly. It's the best.
Yes, it's the best, of course. So you have seen so many different businesses with so many different problems. Have you seen like some typical businesses with some typical problems? I know maybe some banks have some difficult problems, some like same problems that they repeat all over and over again. And maybe there are some businesses where they don't, that basically the deliverability issues don't exist at all. So are there any differences between different fields of business?
So there's a couple of things that are common with most businesses. So if it's not list cleaning, okay, as we talked about that, that's number one. If it's not list cleaning, the second one is not having access to deliverability monitoring tools. People assume because they see open rates, they see clicks, they make money, that everything is perfect. But that means that you will only see the problem when the money gets affected, which means the deliverability problem is huge. Because you can maybe if 5%, 10% of your volume goes nowhere, it might not affect your sales. But once it starts saying 30, 40, 50% inboxing, then it's of course affecting your sales if half the people can see it. And then the problem is huge. So not having access to deliverability monitoring tools is extremely problematic, because then you figure it out too late and then it takes a long time to fix. Just like with the bank, you ruin your credit and you don't pay your bills on time for a long time. Buying a house is going to be very difficult. Okay, you have to prove a lot to the bank before, and it works the same way. So you cannot just stop sending. You have to keep sending, knowing no one is getting the email, to prove to Google that you cleaned the list or you fixed the problem. That is insane. So much money in the garbage. So if you had access to this, so there's free online Google Postmaster. So it comes from Google. You need to be sending a couple thousand emails a month. Okay. Like at the bank, you need to have money and, credit to have credit. Same thing with Google. They want to see some emails. And don't forget, you're sending 1,000 emails a week, but it's not all of it Google. Some of it is Microsoft, some of it is Yahoo. Google doesn't know at Yahoo, and Yahoo doesn't know at Google. So to them, it's not enough volume. So Google, if you have a dedicated IP or your own infrastructure, you have access to the Microsoft one. because Microsoft does it on an IP basis. So like Smaily, Ajisa Mail, we have access to SNDS and we monitor the reputation of our IPs that our customers use with Microsoft, right? Then there are other tools that are, you can find them for free, but sometimes it can be just annoying because you have to check every day, every different place, is if your domain or the IP you're using is on a block list. That gives you an idea. Very simple. Your domain is on Spamhaus DBL. You have a spam trap in your list. That is what they're looking for. Therefore, that is the problem. Clean your list. Sorbs spam. Okay, business inboxes and so forth. Sorry, that have reported email as spam. Clean your list, figure out who complained, don't email them again. It's very obvious. The block list is looking for something. You did the something, fix the something, done. And be polite. Can you please fix the problem? Can you fix delist? Yes, they see that you delisted, which means you have to keep sending anyways. And then everything is fixed. We're good. And the other thing is inbox placement tests. Those again are not the most precise because Google giving data is the most precise, right? But it does give you an idea of the inboxing. We give you like a list of email addresses, you send a test, and we tell you Google went 80% in the inbox, 10% in spam, and 10 blocked. That gives you an idea of where you need to focus, where you need to clean, authenticate, and so on. But the monitoring is the thing that people, I think it's like an investment. They see it as an investment more than a way of making more money. And I see it as a way and I know an investment is to make more money, but they just see it as the investment and that's it. They don't really get anything back. They don't see it. But when you come to me and you spend thousands of dollars in consulting, thousands of dollars that you lost, and you have no idea when the problem started, so you have no idea how much money you possibly lost. Most businesses have had a good 10, 20% of volume that hasn't inboxed ever, 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 ever. So over the years, how much money did you lose because you didn't want to pay a little bit to know that everything is okay? So, like, I don't know what the companies are in Europe, but like in Canada, we have Equifax and, TransUnion for the credit score. And everyone goes to buy a house and finds out their credit score then and there. No, you're supposed to pay $5 a month so that every month you see the credit. One, to see if somebody's stealing your identity, right? Two, to make sure everything's okay. Three, to see what you can fix. So you don't go to the bank and the bank says, no, we're not giving you a loan. It's the same thing with deliverability. If you have no idea, one day you wake up with a problem. So if you monitor and you clean your lists, you're never going to have problems because one, you make sure everything's okay. And two, you remove the most obvious spam filter problem.
How big does your list have to be so that there is like this need for those monitoring tools? I would understand if you have like 20,000 people in your list, you basically need them. But if you have only 2,000,
Yeah,
you still need to use them.
when you start sending more than 5,000 a month, you should get like the Google Postmasters free. It's just annoying because you have to go to postmaster.google.com. You have to go check on different website if your domain is on a block list. There's a little bit of work, but you check once a week and some of them can automate the report and so on. When you start having the 70, you start having, like 20,000, 50,000 contacts, then it is interesting to get the tool like ours, Zemo Console. There's Validity, there's Inbox Monster. There's a lot of them. Well, there's a couple of them on the planet. There's not a lot of them because there's not a lot of us, but there is a variety and we all do different things like based on the payment and plan. The tools though are the same. What we do is that we connect to Google Postmaster, Microsoft SNDS, we do inbox placement tests, the block list, and we just put it in one place for you so that you can do all of your tests, your monitoring. And then, of course, we do it a little bit more robust than what you would get for free. But the Google Postmaster data I get is the same that Validity gets. So there's no like my data is better than his data. No, whatever dashboards you prefer, whatever works for your pricing is what people should do. The point of deliverability is not for you to spend all this money that is wasted on security. It should not be wasted. It should be there to make you money and to keep your money that you could have made. So there's all these free options, even inbox placement tests. Like there's a lot of these companies that will do a couple of tests for free. So you do one a month to check everything's okay. Google's happy. And Google is 80% of your list. So if Google's happy and you're doing everything correctly, most likely everyone else is happy. It's a ratio percentage game too, right? So if you're doing everything clean, everything is clean. So Postmaster is most likely the most interesting tool. It's color coded, the green, yellow, red, or dark red. So you know which one's good and if it's bad. And you can feel comfortable that the work you're doing is landing somewhere. One of the things I do a lot for my friends, because I have access to email console. I don't have to pay. I have friends that are consultants, email marketers, copywriters, things like that. And when they have a new customer, they will ask me to do a free inbox placement test just so that they can have an idea of the deliverability of the customer, because they know that maybe the customer is losing money, not because the marketing and the content is not good, but because the emails are not inboxing anymore. So even if they come in and maximize the content writing and make it better, because I mean, they're specialists, I don't know what was done before. What's the point if they're going to do all this analysis and no one gets the email? Then the company's not going to see more money, therefore they're going to get in trouble, or they're going to get complaints. So just that makes people realize, oh, you're right. What if we're panicking about email and content and emojis? And that's not the problem. The problem is not the product. The problem is just we didn't clean the list. How silly is that? Or we didn't authenticate. We forgot, which happens, or we broke it, which also happens. I've done it multiple times. But if you had deliverability monitoring tools, you would be alerted. That's what it is. So
Exactly.
DMARC monitoring, there's all these tools, and I think once you reach the 5,000, but 5,000, because people make 5,000 with 5,000 contacts, millions of dollars, and people with 100,000 contacts make $20,000. So it depends, right? But it's based on how is important is email. And the question, it's like, oh no, we're not an email company. It's like, well, how if we stopped emailing tomorrow, would you make? No, we would make $0. Well, then you're an email company. Yes, you have a product and whatever, but you're an email company, so you have to follow every single rule because Google and Microsoft are definitely watching. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's a machine. So
Yes, of course. I used to work in affiliate marketing before, and that's how I
oof.
became a master email marketer. And I learned so much just because I made so many mistakes there. And of course, we were cleaning the list all the time, but we were making some other mistakes. But while I was doing this job, I remember that people were talking that if you have spammy keywords in your email, then it's bad for your reputation, and your emails will not be delivered. Or if you have keywords like I don't know, the English word is not coming right now. Is this loan? If you have
Oh yeah,
a keyword
yeah.
like loan inside your email, or sex, or whatever other keywords, then you will be marked as spam anyways. And if you have some words that are like in those big letters, or you are using too many exclamation marks, then this is also bad for you. Is this actually true? Do those things matter or not?
So this is like a weird misconception. So it's true and false. So it's true that like if you copy paste weird code and like Unicode kind of, and it like Google cannot read, and you never sent an email before, it's a new domain, has no idea what you're selling, the URLs have like 35 tracking, redirects. Okay, it's weird. If you look weird, you look weird. We need to remember that from all the emails we send in, all the emails that are sent in a day, like 90%, if not more, is like spam. So Google and Microsoft has so much information of what is bad. So if you look bad, it was very easy to compare. Now, the thing that's important to understand that it's not like you have loan out. Like Pornhub sends emails. The emails land in the inbox. Online chatting companies send emails, they land in the inbox. Online casinos, gambling, all these businesses, they send emails. Now, what they do is that they're very careful. They manage their consent very well, for legal reasons as well. They will ensure people are the right age. All the consent on these websites is not like confirm your email. It is confirm your email, confirm confirm you understand this, confirm 3, confirm 4, and then you're in, and then you start getting emails. So they do all the things that they need to do in order to inbox in terms of the list. So they're very legal and they're very compliant. The other thing as well is that they've been sending emails for a very long time, and their companies grew exponentially over time. The inboxes had the time to learn, what is this company doing, what is this company sending, what do people do, and you can imagine people have high consent, but people still report the email as spam. No, I never subscribed to this. Okay, Google understands that and is able to make a different decision versus a regular brand that does maybe a promotion for a contest, and the list becomes double and it's full of fake emails. Google is going to let you know. It's not only to punish you, or it's not technically to punish you. It's to let you know, hey, there's a problem. There's a problem with your list. Yeah, you had 10,000, now you have 20,000 people on your list, but most of them are not real. So you want to be notified. The porn company maybe, or the adult online gambling company, doesn't need to be reminded that needs to be somebody needs to be removed, because they do it. Trust me, they do it very quickly. They know they make money in X amount of days. So if X amount of days you don't do anything, you're out. They know, to a science. Most brands don't know that, right? So the words can be a problem when you change your business. So we're going to use like a silly example, like, I don't know, Walmart. That's the example here. So Walmart sells all these different departments: cars, food, baby things, clothes. And now they decide to, let's say, open a pharmacy. They have to be very careful how they market it, because you cannot be baby diapers, changer oil, tomatoes, and COVID vaccine. Google might say, right now we have a lot of scams about COVID vaccine. Walmart is not correctly authenticated. They had a lot of spam rates last week. And now pharmacy, I think there's a problem. That's how we can, it's maybe a little bit more simplified or complex than that, but that's how it works. It's not because like you put the word buy today that there's a problem. That domain reputation is important. The consistency at which you send is the most important part after list hygiene. You want to be consistent. The spam filters should never want to have to look again. What are they doing? No, they know they're doing the same thing, the same people, a little bit new people. Everything's okay. So content affects you based on sometimes just bad luck. Walmart has vaccines now in the pharmacy, and right now there's a scams. So, but it's not your reputation that gets hurt. It's just some people will not get it. It's not the whole list. It's going to be localized. People who maybe are anti-vaxxers will not get that email because Google already knows based on what they do in the inbox, whatever. It's very complex, just like how complex it would be for social media. Why do sometimes I see things that I didn't talk about or see or look, but I actually care about? And why do sometimes I get things that I don't really care about? Algorithms are constantly figuring it out based on what I'm doing, based on what's happening, what's available to show me. The inboxes as well, plus reputation and if they like you.
What about the email overall look and the design? Does it also affect? So maybe one day my branding was in purple colors and now I changed it to yellow. Does it actually matter?
No, that's going to affect deliverability if the human part is like confused. So they open the email, they have no idea who you are, and they never open your email again. It's more in that sense. The emails themselves, where we want consistency, is the brand, and branding is important, very important. So it becomes more like a three levels behind. Like if people don't know who's emailing them, don't really understand why you're emailing them, they don't engage, then one day it affects deliverability, because how many people are you going to remove from the list? There's a limit. Even me, I have a limit of how many people I'm going to remove, but they're unengaged now. Now what? So in that sense, but not in its own. Like if you have a colorful brand and you feel like it and it fits because you're an artist or whatever, yeah, why not? But if you're like a lawyer, maybe not a good idea.
Okay, cool. Do you have like some maybe examples of impossibly difficult situations where it was so hard for you to get the deliverability back up, and but you actually succeeded in doing that?
So a lot of my customers have, or a couple of them have had this particular situation, which everybody kind of understands anyways. So they're a big brand and they're international company. So they're using the same domain all over the world, the .com domain, and everybody's sending emails based on what's happening in Italy and in Canada and in the US. So they're all managing their part of the marketing, but they're all using the same domain. So one of the issues, the main issue, was they had to clean the list and manage the consent, because again, all these different companies, some of them were doing it, some of them were not doing it, and overall, the same domain, doesn't matter that it's different places, it still impacted it. So once we fixed the list part, the next issue was, how do we manage the volume? Because some days everybody was sending, and some days no one was sending, and some days only one person was sending. And that doesn't look good at all. People don't understand the impact. And like, this is like not a direct quote from Keith Kuzmanov, but if you ask him, he's going to tell you, be consistent. If it's like a straight line or as straight as a line as possible, you're always going to inbox. It's like magic. One, you need to have enough volume for that to be possible, but two, you need to manage that. So it was quite a complex way to create a schedule that would allow people to not only know when to send email so that the volume would remain consistent on the domain level, but also allow that if there's certain days where somebody had SOS needed to send an email, that there were certain things that could be turned off to compensate without having to coordinate with every other like office that they also had to stop. So there was enough volume on the side that it was not important, remove, replace, and go. So that was very interesting because coordinating and everybody is like sort of complaining as well. We never had to do this before. Why do we have to do it?
Mhm.
So there's like a lot of levels of like dealing with things to get it fixed. But it was quite interesting.
It's a huge amount of teamwork that needs to be done because everybody needs
Oh
to know
yeah.
what they're sending, when they are sending it, they need to schedule it.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
why, and it's not always the same like information or like the same strategy. So some people send information, some people don't do webinars. So then how do you manage it? And some people do webinars and send 50 emails, and some people send it to like 50,000 people. Like how do you manage it?
Hmm.
So yeah, that was quite interesting. But it's
Yeah, I
fun.
can imagine. But, about this not having too many peaks on the
Yeah.
deliverability side, and you need to have this constant level all the time. Does the constant level need to be like constant level each and one day, or constant level per month, or how is it calculated?
So you start with constant, as in make it extremely easy for like a 5-year-old child to understand the pattern at which you're sending. So there's an email sent every Monday for the women products and another one for the men products. There is something happens 3 days after somebody goes on the website, an abandoned cart. And then if they get a invoice, they don't get another email. But if they don't get an invoice, they get email number 234. Just like the simplest pattern all the time, especially when your volume is low. We want to make it very simple. And then your newsletters, right? Me, I'm not very consistent. Sometimes I send my newsletter on a Monday, sometimes on a Wednesday, sometimes I forgot. So I feel guilty and I send it on a Sunday to compensate that I didn't send on the Monday. So, not good.
Really?
You make it as consistent as possible. One, it's better in a strategic money, way. And two, you're not constantly looking. There's like a strategy, you have to send every Monday, you'll prepare them in advance. And maybe your Monday email is very big. So cut it in 4 pieces and send one every week. And as your volume grows, there's certain emails that are constantly being sent out. So like for like a airline company, it's constantly sending invoices, passwords. So that can be grouped together. Then there's the emails that happen because there's a crisis or there's like a legal update. So we have to send to everyone a message. So that is planned. You know who you're going to send an email to, the whole group of people. You know what you usually send. So how can we add 10% per day to get to that point? And we don't have to get to a really high point. We just need to get to a point where everybody on that list got it. That's it. And then we go back to the normal. Or we're doing a contest. So we get all the emails and we send confirmation email. But in 3 weeks, we have to send out an email to everyone. Wow, are we ready for that? No. Okay, so some people, let's send a second email because they're very engaged and why not? So our volume is higher this week. So that next week, when we go back to normal and we have the new contest volume, it fits. It's planning like that. And then there's some people, they send so many emails, they send millions, like you guys, right? You send millions of emails. You can make a straight line. If you wanted to send an email every second, every day, all the time, technically you can, you know? So that is like the ultimate magical straight line. Seen before, but very rarely. We just want to be consistent. And not only in volume is very important for Yahoo and Microsoft. Believe me, is important. But for everything else, content, templates, strategy, value, we always want everything to be consistent. So people know what to expect.
And if I'm now sending an email every Monday to my own subscribers, and one Monday I was sick and I forgot, what should I do now?
No,
Do
it's not the
I
end of
can
the
I
world.
can I
It's
still
not the end
send
of the
the email to
world.
everybody, or
Yeah,
should I cut it
yeah.
lower?
Yeah, Google's not gonna come running. No, no, no worries for that. But overall, we want that line. It's like that thing. It's like the ultimate goal we might never be able to achieve because it's just not possible. Is to have that straight line. So that's what you try for as much as possible.
Hmm.
Your goal is the straight line.
Okay, I think this is something that at least the companies that we're working here in Estonia, they have room for improvement in that field for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, me too, and I know about it.
Yes, but it is difficult. I have to admit, it is difficult to schedule
Yeah,
everything so that it should come as a straight line. Uh, okay, now let's get to the really important part. So, if I am now a new brand, I have never sent
Yes.
any emails in my life, but I want to do everything correctly from the first day and never land in spam. What are the steps that I need to be doing? What do I need to monitor, and what do I need to do to not ever land in spam?
Okay, so you buy a domain, use the domain of your website. Don't use another domain in case it breaks, because it's not going to break. We're going to do it perfectly fine, right? Choose a company where you want to use as an inbox. So G Suite, Microsoft Office. If you don't really need an inbox, I know some businesses don't. You still need one for email marketing. So go to Zoho. I think it's like $1 or $2 per month, and you can have like 5 inboxes. So you can have like your name at domain, or like .com, or billing at domain.com, whatever. It's very cheap because you do need an inbox. It is not a requirement, because I know people do like aliases and things like that, but it does look better on the inboxes that there's an inbox, because that's where abuse would be sent. Like a report of abuse would be sent to that inbox. So it is important that it goes somewhere. Then you will choose your email marketing tool, hopefully Smaily or Especial Mail, right, guys? And you guys are gonna authenticate it. SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. And you're not gonna forget that you also have to authenticate the inbox tool you're using. So if you're using Zoho or G Suite or Microsoft, that also needs to be authenticated. That needs SPF and DKIM. If you have an invoicing tool, any tool that uses your domain to send out emails and it's not your IPs, you need to do, well, even if it is your IPs, you need to do DKIM and SPF. And you don't need one DMARC. DMARC is just like a like a, I call it like a bouncer at a bar. He decides, do you have DKIM? Come in. Do you have SPF? Come in. No? Out. That's what DMARC does. So you only need one, because it's for the domain and the subdomains. So that's the second thing you're going to do. Then you're going to start using your inbox, because you have a business and you're really cool. Regular emails, don't overdo it. It's not a warm up. We just want to, like, hey, we exist as a domain, start putting them out. We don't need a warm up. Then you're going to go inside Smaily, you're going to take a form and you're going to add it on your website or on your Google ads or LinkedIn ads. And you're going to put the double opt-in on. And you're going to make the confirmation email very sexy. Click here to confirm your subscription to receive emails about this on every Monday. And then when they confirm, you're going to have a very sexy email, even more sexy. Thank you so much for coming. Here's all the free stuff. You will also go and create an automation in Smiley that's going to be a welcome email series. If there's somebody you want to learn about welcome email series, you go to LinkedIn and you follow Dan Oshensky, or you go to inboxcollective.com. He's the king of welcome emails. And everything he says has to be in a welcome email, and how it works, you do it. Even if it sounds weird or too simple, or I have a lot of opinions, it works. He knows his stuff. Do it. So these are the emails that make the highest conversions and that make the people in your list actually stay longer in your list. How? Magic. It's all about engagement and offering value, but to me it's still magic. And you have this flow. It can be 4, 6, 7, 8 emails, and these are emails that introduce your business, that explain to people what you're doing, and that tell people what they're going to be receiving in the emails, why and what you're going to do for them, in a very smooth manner, that it's not like buy. It's like, look at how we can save so much time, which technically is selling. Or look how we can make your life easier. It's also selling. This creates better connections. It creates brand awareness. And also, what I think it does the best is we're going to force you as a brand, when you do your marketing, the regular marketing, to follow those rules. You made a promise. You made 5 emails about all the things you were going to send them and what you were going to do and what you were going to provide. Now you have to do it. So then it forces you to do even better decisions. And the double opt-in is important. And then what you're going to create, because now all is set up and now you only have to do, an hour a week to create your campaign. You're going to sit down and you create a new automation. And this automation is going to be based on people who are slowly losing engagement or care about your brand. Now that you have the time, that you don't have too many contacts, is the time to do it. And you create a flow of extremely sexy content of like, hey, come back, we have all this information, did you know, did you forget, come to our webinar, free call, whatever. And you make a flow. And if you cannot get them, then it's like, okay, this is what you're going to be missing out, or whatever works. Bye-bye. Exactly. So that way your list is automatically clean. Your list is protected because people have to confirm. Your authentication is correct with all the places they need to be correct, wherever the emails are being sent from. You've made a promise to your customers that now you can to keep. If you forget about it, just read your welcome email, read what you were going to send and what you were going to do, and now just do it. And then one day your business is going to be big enough that maybe you have abandoned cart, other automations, but that's marketing stuff. You'll have enough volume that it's going to be time to then do deliverability monitoring, inbox placement tests every week, domain blocklist monitoring, DMARC monitoring, because you can have DMARC, but most people don't look at the reports. But when you're at some point, you want to see who's pretending to be me and why can I shut it down. You want that information, and you go there, and that is from A to Z how you don't have problems.
I think this is like
That's it.
2 minutes of descriptions of what every business should know about email marketing. This
Yeah,
should
and
be
then
like
that's it.
pinned to
And I
every
mean,
single office in the world.
yeah, watch a 2-minute clip of Yanna-Torry explaining all the things you need to do, and that's it.
Yes, yes.
Make it sound so easy.
And it actually isn't difficult. It is kind of easy,
No,
and
so
it's not
it's
only
just time
beneficial for
consuming.
email marketing, but it's also beneficial for your brand as in general.
Yeah,
Because with those welcome series, you actually build a connection with your subscriber. It's not just for Google that you're doing it; you're doing for your
yeah, yeah,
customers as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, for the business
Yes.
side, and it just makes sense to me because sometimes, like, oh, we need to send more. And I have to agree, there are some businesses that the more they send, the more money they make. It's true. But on the spam filter side, they see engagement, open clicks real from humans, not spam filter ones. So then it's not a problem. But in other brands, that's just, or industries, that's just not the case. And it's very funny to me. It's like, oh no, we have to send the email. And I was like, okay, if you send the email, how do you measure the success? Oh, if they open. Okay, but you didn't make money, so you spent money. So what's the point? Well, and then yeah, okay, maybe there's no value to the email, and it's not because the email is not nice or the content's not good or we didn't think about it. It's just that it's true. It doesn't convert. It doesn't make people do something, or it just we sell cars. Okay, but do I need a car? Or here's a job description. Okay, but I applied for jobs. I pause. I don't need them anymore. I'm not looking at them. So there's context, and there's more than just what my business does. There's context of the person. So if we send the email and 90% of the people are, like job listing companies, 90% of the people were we look for jobs and we forget to unsubscribe, and every day for the next 3 years until we can't subscribe, we get an email to get a job, and we got a job, we did the interview, we have 2 jobs since then, and we still get the email somewhere in a folder that we ignore. Why? That can be removed. So those are the silly mistakes that people, yeah, okay, makes sense. But at the end, when I come in, I'm like, okay, 10% gone. Whoa, what do you mean? Okay, I don't know the story of every guy to explain to you one by one why he should be removed, but you were there from the beginning. So if you know the stories, create the automations that remove them or tag them so that at least you can focus on a specific part of your list instead of cleaning everything automatically. You can do it manually, but at least it gets tagged something, because it sounds silly, but it happens, and it's usually the problem. That's why the list is always the problem.
Usually it is. I guess like the companies are mostly afraid that they have spent so much money on getting those leads because they have been advertising their landing pages and subscription
Exactly.
methods, and they feel that they spent money, but actually what they don't realize that if they don't let the person go, they will actually lose even more money because if the placement is bad, then also those people who want to get your emails eventually don't get your emails.
Exactly.
Yes. It has been a wonderful time talking to you. Once again, our time is slowly going to run out. Although I have like millions of questions still in my head, I think we need to do another podcast. But what are some tips, some most important tips, maybe like 3 or 5 tips that you would give to brands who have not thought about deliverability at all right now? Why should they start thinking, and what should they be doing about their deliverability? Some bigger brands who have already have reached those
Okay.
5,000 per day limits.
Yeah. I would definitely. So if you've sent at least 5,000 emails once in the last couple of months, you should at least clean your list and look at it honestly. If they've opened one email in the last 6 months, is that really engaged? If you send 2 emails a week, that's 8 emails a month times six, one email. Is that really engaged? Be honest, with yourself, and try and figure out as well. You can do the who hasn't opened an email, which is just a good check in the last 6 months, 5 months, 4 months. And you're going to see the number slowly, gradually going up. But one of those months, at some point, the number goes up very quickly. That's the limit, because then it's like everyone, like if I subscribed yesterday and it's the last month, I didn't get an email, I didn't engage with it, therefore I count. I didn't do anything. You're going to remove me. You don't want that, right? But at least figure out where that line is. It's going to allow you to learn more about your customers. Then check your automations, the welcome email series, your confirmation, put the double opt in. I'm telling you, you're going to make way more money double opt in. You're going to lose a little bit, but if the person doesn't have the energy to subscribe, which everybody does consistently without even thinking about it, then you think they're going to have the energy to buy something from you or come to a podcast or a webinar. Yeah, right. You're not losing anything. You just make more money and you have better lists, better consent. Try and see if you can personalize your content by asking people what they like, preferences, so that you can organize your list. Again, list stuff. The other thing would be monitoring tools. On Email Console website, we have like a free audit. You guys can go and like do an inbox placement test. We'll tell you if you land in the inbox or not. Gives you an idea if there's a problem or not. If everything is green, you're good to go. If Google or Microsoft or whatever is putting your emails in spam, probably clean your list. But it might be authentication. It might be a lot more than that. It can be pattern, volume, and so on. Those are the things that I would definitely make people look at. And I think just from that, it's going to create a lot more questions or a lot more things that, oh my God, when you think about this and this and that. So that's more than enough. Look at your list with honest eyes. And then based on that information, see what do you need to fix.
Yes, very good tips. And if you didn't actually listen to the whole podcast, then scroll back to the part when Yanna talks about what you have to do from the beginning to the end, because this is like pure gold. And this is like 2 minutes you have to listen from this podcast. And in general, I can say that although I have been hearing all Yanna's talks with Smiley within the past 3 or 4 years, I still learned something very new things about you. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here. And thanks to you, I have also like so much curiosity about the deliverability, and you really are just one of my idols in that field. So thank you very much for
Thank you
coming
so
today.
much. Yeah,
And
I've really fun.
I think we can spill some beans as well about
Yeah.
that we have a little plan about having one bigger event with you.
Yes, about
Yes,
deliverability. I get to talk about deliverability and no one can stop me.
exactly. So stay tuned, because very soon Smiley and Yana will talk about a bit more about deliverability, and you don't want to miss this event.
Yes. And I'll be there in person as well. I can't wait.
Yes, exactly. So thank you very much, Yana, for coming. And I hope
Thank you.
everybody else enjoyed the podcast as much as we did.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. Bye bye.